We were always transients during the holidays. We'd go to any extended family that would allow us to spend time at their place. Christmas Day was always the one holiday we didn't have a place to go. Until the year my grandfather moved in with my family, and once it was found out that he had a degenerative disease and an aneurysm, we finally held Christmas at our place. My mother never cooked for the holidays because she hated washing dishes, so that was her excuse. Christmas was scraps we grabbed at McDonald's above the freeway on the way to Chicago. It was a hot dog joint that was surprisingly open on Christmas Day and had condoms that I mistakenly thought were adult balloons sold in vending machines. When we were forced to bring a big holiday dish, Heavenly Ham was a Midwest institution that made the best ham that you could heat up. That's what we did for Christmas. And I stayed out of my mother's way as she moved around the house. We had my father's family for Christmas. This was the first and only year we did this. Hospice came every day to check on whether or not my grandfather's vitals were okay, to which my grandfather would try to flatter the attractive nurse into taking her vitals instead. Maybe it was because we were living each day expecting the disease he had or the aneurysm to take him that we decided to be the ones to invite everyone into our home. I now had the best opportunity to hide from extended family by staying in my bedroom instead of the corner, reading a book, and waiting for my grandmother to track me down and tell me that I needed to grow my hair and my nails or be better in some way. I'm the only girl of 6 cousins, and I have a brother 7 years older than me with a different father than I have. The boys were downstairs with my brother playing pool, and I was encouraged to drink wine even though I was 17. My grandfather was in the first level bedroom and didn't want anything to do with the bullshit of merriment. Our house we were renting was in a wealthy neighborhood with a country club, and my family could only afford it because the owner couldn't sell the property. It was grand and expansive, the type of space where I always feel like someone will kick us out because we can't afford it. There was always a chill to it, like constant drafts entering the house, and no matter the layers you wear, you'll still sleep shivering. The home's beauty means it's pretty, but not exceptionally cozy. We would sometimes be in one space together to generate enough body heat to make it tolerable. We could turn the heat on more often, but I knew the heating bill was already ridiculous, so I knew the game plan was to keep warm on my own. So to have so many warm bodies and the oven working in one space, this was the one night this house felt warm enough to be cozy. I watched my mother work like a bee inside a hive, yet again checking if the heavenly ham was ready, when I heard a scream calling out for my mother. A scream I knew very well because my grandfather screamed for everything he needed. A scream that stopped my mother with the oven up, dropping the cotton oven mitts and running one of our relatives over to get into her father's bedroom. That scream stopped everyone from talking. The house got so silent we could hear each other's breathing. I stood still unless I got called in for backup. It seemed like hours before she came back to the kitchen. When asked what happened, she threw a hand in the air like she was shooing a fly from her face. Somebody walked in his room and I closed the door. He'll be out later. I never found out what really happened to make him scream like that. But it was a daily occurrence that I had become numb to, being the first sound I heard when I woke in the morning. My brother later wheeled out my grandfather into the living room. He had found a Christmas hat and placed it on my grandfather's head. We still laugh to this day as he tossed the hat to the ground with a, "Get this goddamned hat off my head." My brother and I laughed as he unlocked his wheelchair and wheeled back into his room. When it was time for dinner, the family did what they usually did for the holidays, taking plates and eating wherever they wanted, which meant for my cousins to return to the basement. And for me, it was mainly eating that heavenly ham and a side of mac and cheese, and then finding a book to read in my room upstairs. Throughout the night, my grandfather, without fail, would unlock his wheelchair, mumble to himself with some swear words, and look to get back into his room again. My mother would stop him, put the wheelchair in the locked position, or chase him to bring him back to the group. Despite my mother chasing down my grandfather throughout the night, it was a better holiday than we had had for years. Even in this spacious house that never felt warm enough to be home, we survived hosting our first Christmas together as a family.